Fellow Zambians, countrymen and women, we are only days away from one of the most important democratic exercises in the life of our republic. On Thursday, 13th August 2026, millions of Zambians will go to polling stations across our country to choose their leaders. At this critical hour, nothing must be allowed to introduce confusion, uncertainty, or fear into the electoral process. I therefore wish to raise three matters which require urgent attention from the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the Zambia Police Service, and all institutions charged with safeguarding our democracy. First, we must not create confusion about how Zambians mark their ballot papers. For many years, Zambians have understood the simple instruction that when you enter the polling station booth, you identify the candidate of your choice and place an X in the appropriate box. The Electoral Commission's own voter education material continues to tell citizens that the correct way of marking the ballot paper is by placing an X in the square corresponding to the candidate of their choice. We are therefore concerned by the introduction at this late stage of messages suggesting that voters should now use a tick or some other mark. The question is, why introduce uncertainty only days before an election? An election is not the time to experiment with voter instructions. We are therefore asking the Electoral Commission of Zambia to maintain a clear, uniform, and familiar message to the people of Zambia. Mark an X clearly in the box of the candidate of your choice. Countrymen and women, you may wish to know that even the regulations that govern the voting process, and in particular Regulation 33D, underscores what to amount to a valid voting mark, and this mark is an X. We are therefore very surprised that ECZ is coming up with other marks that may not be necessarily provided for under the regulations. In clear terms, it prescribes that voting shall be done via crossing. This is the valid mark. Anything departing from this and practice is an invalid or a spoiled vote. That is the law. That is what the statute provides. So like I said earlier, the last minute changes as announced by ECZ Chief Electoral Officer points to arbitrariness in the administration of elections. So neither the Electoral Commission of Zambia Act nor the Electoral General Regulations of 2016 contemplate any sort of administrative arbitrariness. So no voter should arrive at a polling station wondering whether they should use a tick, an X, a line, or some other symbol. The rules of voting must be simple, consistent, and understood by every Zambian. For the first time voter in Lusaka to the grandmother casting her vote in the most remote village, the Commission must immediately remove any contradiction in its voter education messages. Countrymen and women, this is very, very important, especially that we live in an environment where there's a lot of stories flying around. Stories of loose ballot boxes, marked ballot papers. So when people begin to introduce strange marks away from what the statute provides, you begin to wonder. Others have asked questions. Could it be that the said marked ballots were marked with the wrong mark, in this case a tick, and the people behind it later realized that there was a mistake, and they are now trying to rectify that by what we are calling administrative arbitrariness, introducing new marks to qualify what would ordinarily be an invalid ballot. So to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, we want to call upon them to stick to what is provided for, to stick to what they've been teaching. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has been doing voter education for a very long time. the past 24 months plus. How then can they show up at the very last minute and introduce new marks? So we call upon the Electoral Commission of Zambia to immediately withdraw the use of the mark and stick to the cross as the case has been. The second point relates to the results of this election, which ECZ is suggesting to announce only days after. Our position is that the results of this election must be announced without unnecessary delay. We have taken note of the electoral timetable indicating that publication of election result is expected to commence on the 17th of August, several days after Zambians vote on 13th of August. We believe Zambia can do better. Votes are counted at polling stations immediately after the close of polling. Results are recorded at polling station level. Political party agents, monitors, and observers are present during the counting process. We are living in 2026. These are modern times. We have mobile telecommunications, digital transmission systems, internet connectivity, and technologies that allow information to move from one side of Zambia to another within seconds. Therefore, there is no convincing reason why the people of Zambia should be kept waiting for several days before knowing the outcome of an election whose votes are counted at polling stations. Prolonged delays create anxiety. Delays create suspicion. Delays create opportunities for misinformation. And unnecessary delays can undermine public confidence in an otherwise credible process. We therefore call upon the Electoral Commission of Zambia to put in place mechanisms that allow presidential results to be collated, verified, and announced as quickly as reasonably possible. We believe that with proper organization and technology, Zambia should be capable of substantially completing this process within 24 hours of the close of polling. Transparency must be immediate. Every polling station result must be protected. Every political party agent must receive the official result at the polling station, and the national tally must reflect nothing more, nothing less than the votes cast by Zambian people. The third point is on the arrests of our people. Arrests, detentions, and intimidations of political actors, media personnel, content creators, and security personnel, which must come to an end. In the closing stages of this campaign, we have witnessed a disturbing pattern of arrests and detentions involving individuals associated with political activity, media work, and public commentary. We have seen arrests involving Chester Mopower, Felix IDC, just this morning, Ambassador Martha Lungu and Hannah Israel. We have Dixon Tembo, we have Tolopa, and many other people, including the 32 security personnel that were arrested in Mongu. We have seen opposition-aligned media personnel and content creators targeted. We have seen members of the campaign security team detained. We have seen journalists and bloggers arrested or questioned for carrying out work that, in any functioning democracy, should be protected by freedoms of expression, association, and the press. These developments cannot be overlooked in isolation. They are happening only days before an election. They are happening at a time when opposition political parties must be free to communicate with voters. They are happening after our campaign has faced repeated obstruction and violence. In Luampa district in Western Province, our convoy was confronted during an incident involving suspected UPND cadres. Our campaign has also faced police intervention in Western Province, including the dispersal of our rally in Mongu using tear gas. The same happened in Solwezi, the same happened in Mwinyilunga, the same happened in Chingola, Ndola, Kitwe. These are not conditions that inspire confidence in a peaceful and level electoral environment. I therefore appeal directly to Zambia Police Service. You are not the police service of a political party. You are police service of the Republic of Zambia. Every officer wears that uniform on behalf of the Zambian people, including citizens who support the government, citizens who support opposition, and citizens who support no political party at all. Exercise your powers professionally. Do not allow the police service to become an instrument of intimidating political opponents in the final days of this election. Where an offense has generally been committed, the law must take its course. But arrests must never become a political weapon. Detention must never become punishment before trial. And law enforcement must never be selective. So countrymen and women, this is very important, because what we have witnessed is an abduction style of arresting our people. Our security officers who were returning from their training were abducted at the airport. To date, we do not know where our 4 officers are. Just this morning, Madam Ambassador Martha Lungu and one of the media personnel, Hannah, were abducted this morning. Up to this point, we do not know where they're being held. The other people in Mongo, like Chest and IDC, were equally abducted in Western Province, together with 30 others. It's not very clear the reasons for which they were abducted. They want to call it an arrest, we are calling it an abduction. We do not know the reasons for which they were picked up, abducted. In today's case, we were told the abductors were actually firing gunshots. They were driving unregistered motor vehicles, trailing Ambassador Martha Lungu and firing shots behind her until she hit into a pole nearby. That's when they zeroed in. So that is not right. We expect the police to operate professionally. We have repeatedly mentioned to the Zambian people that the police service needs to be professionalized. The police service needs to be depoliticized. What we're experiencing leaves much to be desired. I come to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Your responsibility over the next few days is historic. Keep the voting instructions clear. Protect every ballot. Protect every polling station result. Ensure that the party agents have access to the electoral process. Transmit results transparently. And announce the will of the Zambian people without unnecessary delays. And to the Zambia Police Service, protect every Zambian citizen regardless of political affiliation. Protect every candidate. Protect every journalist. Protect every election agent, and ensure that the remaining campaign period and election day are peaceful. To our supporters across the country, remain peaceful. Do not respond to provocation. Do not engage in violence. On August 13, go and vote peacefully. Mark your ballot clearly with an X in the box of your chosen candidate. Remain vigilant. Protect your vote through lawful means. Respect election officials, monitors, and observers, and allow the voice of the Zambian people to speak. This election belongs neither to the government nor to the opposition. It belongs to the people of Zambia. Institutions come and go. Governments come and go. Political leaders come and go. But the Republic remains. On August 13, let us demonstrate once again that Zambia is bigger than any political party and that the sovereign will of the Zambian people must always prevail. May God bless the people of Zambia. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone, the questions before the President officially closes?
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon to you.
My question is for the arrest of the two this morning. Is it connected to the among this or just another thing which the police are now maybe telling everyone? Because now everyone is scared now, everyone. Because everyone is moving, say, maybe tomorrow to doing this. Do we have any information to see why these people have been arrested this morning? Is it connected to the Hmong incident or not?
Thank you. Thank you very much. The pattern is very difficult to discern. You know that, for instance, Chester, IDC, Felix, David Chivanga, and 30 others were arrested in Mongu. Some of those people that were arrested in Mongu had gone to Mongu 2 days earlier as an advance party. So it could not be related to anything that happened along the way. Yesterday, Fraser Musonda was arrested. We are still looking for his whereabouts. Only this morning, Ambassador Martha Lungu and Hannah were driving to church to come and join us. When we knocked off, when we left church, we were later told that they had been trailed by some unregistered vehicle that later started firing gunshots, only to stop them and pick them, introducing themselves as DC officers, whatever that was. So to answer your question, we don't really know. The pattern is not very clear. But of course, we have information, for instance, that a number of UPND cadres have been sent to Southern Province. Some of them have been given police uniforms. The idea is to try and arrest as many of our supporters as possible. Others will be inconvenienced by UPND cadres, and others will be picked up by police officers. We are reliably informed that not all those who are putting on police officers are actual police officers. There are some officers who are coming from other wings, not necessarily the police. So it's very confusing. Ordinarily, when you are told that there's been a deployment of over 700 police officers to Southern Province, we are supposed to be feeling safe. We're supposed to be feeling safe to go to Southern Province. But because of what we've experienced, we've been attacked by cadres in the presence of police officers, as the case was at Luampa. Our view is that those police officers will be in the company of UPND cadres as they attack us, even as we go to. So we're not really sure what this is related to. But you can only come to one conclusion, through some deductive reasoning. President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND government would like to disturb our last few days of campaign. They are picking people that are supposed to be doing election management, organizing polling agents, organizing monitors, and indeed general election management, as it were. They are also picking our security, meaning that the intention is to leave us exposed and vulnerable, as it were, so that we can be attacked like we were attacked in Luampa. It's really, really very disturbing that really, if you look at what we've been through the past 2 months, there's no place we've been to where we've not been attacked by UPND cadres and Zambia police. The timetable for ECZ was published by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Zambia police had that timetable. You saw for yourselves how they stopped us at every juncture, to the extent of wanting to prescribe how we should campaign. Road shows are part of campaigns. Rallies are part of campaigns. But the police would actually come and prescribe and tell us not to use road shows and use other forms of campaign. So President Hakainde Hichilema needed to speak to this political violence. He can no longer remain silent over the so many incidences of violence. And in particular, we refer to the death that occurred in Kaputa. We refer to the death that occurred in Magoe. There were 3 deaths in Kanyama, and these were all caused by UPND cadres. There were injuries, some violence perpetuated by UPND cadres in Kazungula. There was another death, I'm told, in Kafue. So President Hakainde Hichilema cannot continue preaching peace when people are dying every day and he has said nothing. He has not condemned the cadres that are perpetuating this violence. And to the Zambia police, we've got 32 of our people arrested. These are victims. These are people that were attacked by UPND cadres. The cadres that were throwing stones that actually injured one of the police officers are still walking the street. So what is President Hakainde Hichilema telling the international community? Is it their mission that they instill fear in our voters, not to turn up and vote? Is it their intention that they instill fear in those members that will be around polling stations protecting the vote? My encouragement to the Zambians is that you remain strong, remain peaceful, ensure that you cast your vote, and ensure that you remain at the polling stations to protect your vote. President Hakainde Hichilema himself called upon his members to sit around the polling stations, cook and eat to protect their vote. We therefore do not expect any police officer, any Zambia National Service officer to disturb those that will be around polling stations with a view of protecting their votes. Thank you very much.
Any last question? Okay, that's the last one now.
Mr. President, the message that Honorable want to put out, is that his own opinion, or is it the opinion of the party, or is it AI?
Well, first of all, we are a very peaceful political organization, information. For the information of the nation, we've had a total of 64 rallies. And there's been no violence whatsoever. Of course, we've been attacked several times, and our members were instructed to restrain themselves and not react. We are therefore a very peaceful political formation. The information that we saw on social media and purported to be coming from Bino Mpundu was very strange right from the beginning, because Comrade Bino Mpundu, like all the other members, know the position that we take when it comes to the peaceful conduct of the electoral process. We are happy to know that he's gone back on social media. Apparently that was a fake. That was AI, if you want to call it that. He could not possibly speak like that. Even when we saw it, we knew that he could not represent the president's office and communicate a message of that sort. When we have continuously condemned violence, unlike our friends in the other political parties, when we have restrained our political supporters not to engage in any form of violence. So I would like to ask countrymen and women to ignore the message that is purported to have been communicated by Comrade Bino Mpundu. He himself has clarified that position. So we remain very peaceful and we promote peaceful elections. We want to go through this election peacefully. Like we've always said, it's the will of the Zambian people that should prevail. And come August 13th, Zambians will go out there to go and vote like we've observed. We would want by the 14th, close of business of the 14th, the winners will be known. And we'll continue on a peaceful transition. Thank you very much.